The season's winding down. The championships are set. Week 9 preview and picks. All that and more on episode 105 of the UFL podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing edition of the UFL podcast. I'm the ref representing Pro Football Newsroom, the leaders in spring football news. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we got a big one for you. But before we get started, I'm joined, as always, by my man, Zachy Boy Kyleman. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm living it. I am thrilled. Going to be knocking this great episode out and then heading on down back home to Indiana. Indianapolis 500 is kicking off this weekend. I got actually that and a football loaded weekend too. IFL with the Fishers Freight up that way. Going to watch some UFL football before we go and watch the 5, and then the 500 on Sunday is just going to be an all day affair. So yeah, I'm stoked, man. My week ahead, going home, checking some sweet stuff out. It's all sports all the time. Maybe run into Jet Branson while I'm out there too. You never know. Ooh. You know, my buddy Jet Branson, he's chilling out. You know, he goes to these 500 events. Haven't seen him in a while. Maybe we'll run into him. So, are you hanging in there? I know you're sick. I just have to ask this immediately. You okay?
This show's the only thing keeping me alive right now, my man. I'll tell you, I had like back-to-back meetings all day leading into this. And I think that in itself just kind of scared the illness off a little bit. Said, I don't want to be in these meetings anymore. By the time we got to the show, I got a little bit of energy, but you saw before, it's like, all right, yeah. It's like half energy, but I get the record button does this magical thing to me where I have no choice but to be on. But you know what? I'm hanging in there. Better this week than next week because we got Memorial Weekend. We got some celebrating to do. I have my parents coming into town. So it's funny. You're going to be out at the 500. I'm going to be out at the Roughnecks game, final home game of the season.
That's right.
And it's going to be a hot one because I don't know if you know this, Zach. It was hot the last time around, and this time we're under a heat wave where, I mean, a heat wave, what is a heat wave? They said it's going to be over 100 degrees. To me, that's not much of a heat wave. It's just early in the year. It's supposed to be a little bit later,
100.
but then the midday, and there's no shade. That was the beauty. I'll tell you this, and this is where my memory didn't do me any good, because I do remember back in 2020, all of the games at TDECU were amazing, but what I didn't really remember, they were later afternoon games, and so the way that the sun would hit, you would get the shade. With these early games, now, again, this one's at 3 o'clock. I don't know how much. We'll see. But I'll tell you, those early games, you got black. It didn't matter where you were unless you were in the last couple rows of the home side. There was some shade. But everything else was a scorcher. And I expect no different this Sunday when I won't make my prediction yet. But that's what I'll be doing. But I'll probably be watching some races on the phone. My parents are coming into town. I don't know if I'm going to drag my dad out to that game. I think that's cruel in many ways. But we'll see. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to a good old holiday because I'm actually off all next week. So you know what? Sickness or not, I'd rather be sick this week than next week because then I can take the week off.
No, you're absolutely right. That is, man, gonna be a scorch. 100 degrees in Houston is that's different than where I'm at right now. It's 100 out here, but like, dude, you're gonna be sweating it off.
It's 100 thick.
Yeah, Godspeed to you on enjoying that in that hot soup out that way.
And it makes it even worse, Zach. You know, I'm just going to take a moment to rant about something non-football related, but The saddest thing, I had to do the saddest thing today. I had to watch my golf cart go to the doctor's office. It got picked up by the big papa doctor. It's got to get some new batteries. And I asked him, I said, how long before I can see my beautiful baby boy golf cart again? So at least a week before they could diagnose it. A week. I wanted to hear for this. I mean, it's swapping out batteries. How hard is that? I would do it myself if the battery wasn't bulging.
Are we in danger of missing a ref cart session?
No, you and I will have it. I really wanted to hear from my parents, though.
Well, I mean, yes,
even for the holiday weekend, we got a barbecue spot. We got the damn pool. The pool bar that I showed you, it's even in more disarray than ever. Everybody is there. You know, small town nonsense. Everybody is angry at the pool bar. They're all angry. They said, why did you remodel it? There was no problem with the way it looked. The food sucked. You just make better food. Because they put in all this work to remodel it, and then it was the same menu. And so everybody's anyway.
Man, I
just want my golf cart.
All I could say is if it's in more disarray now, I'm very fascinated to see how much more they could have done to make it a little more all over the place. Less walls, more drywall missing.
Yeah, I hope it's just no drywall the next time we go in. It's just like the studs and like the extensions and the outlets. Maybe, you know how they have the big screen TV comprised of all the maybe just one of the TVs will be not even out, just missing. That's what I want. Just
a big empty square. And you know, like you'll get that whole weekend with your folks and stuff. And I know your dad from talking is a big race fan and all that. It's interesting because the 500 is the lead-in, from what I can tell, to the game you were going to go see. So pretty much so the 500 starts 12:45 on the 25th. That's the plan. Now all the coverage starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, but once that race kicks off, that goes all the way, and then your game starts at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. So so I'm curious how that'll go, because if the race gets extended, that'll be fascinating to see what it does for TV. But for you, it goes either way at 4. But for TV audience, that's something to watch out for if you're watching on Fox. Because remember, the 500's on Fox this year. It's not on NBC. So,
and I'm glad the race is before the game, so we don't end up in a situation like we did the other day where a lot of people missed the last 2 minutes of a very exciting game. I wasn't here Monday I'm assuming that was a moment that was spoken about on the show.
And this is why I wanted to circle back, because there's a few things from ATU that I definitely want your thoughts on. First off is just, I think I'll reiterate what I did. I'm not doing the bit this time, but what I will say is, you know, I came in the show and said, hey, are we going to take this seriously or not? Because there's some things I'm like, I don't feel like we're taking this seriously anymore, you know, as it should be. And I know Daryl post Monday did go on to local Birmingham airwaves and kind of explain on a few of the local stations about, like, you know, they tried some things and seeing what avenues they could do to like prevent the playoff scenarios being the way they are, you know, and he tried to kind of explain a way that, you know, it just happened to be this way, whatever. I don't know about you, Stefan, but like, I'll go right in and I say, look, you've had multiple years of knowing that these are problems. I don't get how unless you just are okay with knowing that, hey, if St. Louis is close to locked in, we can get this, and then Birmingham needs this maybe potentially to get more interest. That was all right, but it just feels like we ignored the conversation on trying to find solutions to more of a even playing field if a team can't lock in a seed. I just call me crazy on that, but it seems like we ignored that, trying to find an actual solution there.
This was the beauty of Canton, Ohio, my friend, because then, okay, both teams are away. It's a neutral location. You do have that option in the UFL. I mean, you would have known well ahead of time that the Brahmas weren't going to make it. So your main hub is in Arlington. I get it's a little too hot to play the game out there, but there's a dome right around the corner. Yeah, is it a shame that all the teams would play in an away environment? Yeah, but you know what? It would also make up for the Brahmas missing a home game. Hey, you get the opportunity. Hey, you know what? Your team's not in it, but you can come see the playoffs. I think there's some interest there. And plus, we've just seen, you know, San Antonio can fill a building if there's enough interest. And I think these games are going to be some very exciting games. We don't know the final standings of how everything's going to line up. So you know what? I will say this. things might work out the way they need to anyway.
Still can.
Through, you know what I mean? So we have, 2 games left of the season. Birmingham wins those 2 games. Michigan loses those 2 games. Hey, there you go. Problem solved. And I mean, when it comes to DC and St. Louis, you're one game away in either direction, you know? So I don't know. It's not great. I don't love it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's done. I would hope that for next season that there's at least thought going into it, either from a scheduling perspective of figuring out at least one thing. One, are all of these venues available? And if they aren't, coming up with a contingency plan to where you don't end up with the losing team potentially, not the losing team, but the lesser of the 2 teams hosting the championship and essentially getting a home field advantage.
Right. And yes, I do, as we've reiterated, you know, there's still 2 weeks left and things can change to where the 1 seeds do get locked in correctly in this regard, where like St. Louis would be the theoretical true 1 seed and Birmingham could still fight back. Now, that being said, you know, got to have some things play out a certain way to do that. But I think the message from most of us in sitting there is going, you know, the competition side of this, I think, has to be really talked about next year. Because like we're talking about, you know, not like San Antonio, I bit my tongue we kind of bit our tongue, but also made our point on the 4 home games, 6 away game thing. We're like, okay, whatever. We can get away with that. Let's just hope that the playoffs they have a solution this time. They did not have they didn't have a solution. I think, in my opinion, just seeing from years past, if it wasn't this first time happening, it's now the 3rd time this has happened that I can recall right off the bat. If it wasn't for the fact that they have evidence that there are issues with like trying to get Ford Field locked in, or, you know, DC with soccer this time of year is always going to be a problem. So it feels like they were just hoping it didn't land that way. And I think they just fell into kind of a mess with going, crud. Now we have to come out and say we need to do this because there's no avoiding it. People are looking at these schedules, even our Discord, by the way, link in the description, seeing that there are conflicts and that there's going to be problems in addressing how they're going to do this. So, you know, I want to see some talk on this early in the offseason. Like, how do you fix that issue? You know, and I'm not going to leave this conversation without people, because we talked about this in ATU as well. You know, there's a lot of money on the table going to St. Louis. And for those St. Louis fans out there, you guys bring in the dollars. You guys bring in a lot of viewership. There's no ignoring that. The conversation is this about we just want the quick payday and none of the, you know, what makes other sports leagues kind of that fair balance where we can have all fan bases accounted for and getting that opportunity? Or is this is this about the competition side and making sure that each team, you know, the season was worth a damn to allow them to get that experience themselves? You know, like we talked about Michigan, you know, that's been near 12,000 people tops. There might be even more for this last home game coming up, you know, because they've been getting better. You know, it's been a more popular team in that area. They're right now the number 3 team in sales in the league, you know, only behind DC, and they're nipping at DC's butt right now in some attendance figures. So, you know, that's a market that you want, I think, to have participation with, but you got to figure out how to solve that solution. I think that's my final point on this, because nothing's going to change with it, but it's something we have to talk about next year, because clearly between that stuff, we talked about how some injury reports have been off with this year. Bryce Perkins was not on the report until like the broadcast of, which like the few people that do daily fantasy or betting on this league were livid that was something that was not disclosed on social, because that's an MVP candidate that's sitting down, and Danny Etling can perform. We saw it against your Roughnecks, but like that changes things. You know, Houston had been playing better. That could change the game on scores. That could change the game on yardage numbers. Like if you put prop bets down on Bryce Perkins, that's gone. I mean, that's some big stuff. This isn't just like, you know, throw it to the side. This is integrity things we're talking about. So, you know, I have to bring it up again because I mean, I don't know. I wanted your thoughts just because it drives me crazy that it's like, hey, these are pro football things. You know, even this, like I said, if we're trying to rival the CFL and be like that level of football, you got to do what your competition in North America does too. And they're not doing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't like it. But I would hope to see these things kind of shape up. I will say this, and this is, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's a segue. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
That could be. Could always be.
I will say this. Maybe we talked about this the last time. So in Houston, they hired a local ticket guy. In Birmingham, they've hired a new local ticket guy. It seems like they are really trying to go into this off season like we all anticipated they would in this previous off season after the merger. So for instance, I think I saw the league put out, it's not showcases, but they have some like mini camps set up in each of the cities just for like, what did I tell you the other day, Zach? You get the kids involved. Now you got the parents involved.
Yeah.
And what are they doing? They're going out, they're getting to the kiddos and having mini camps. And you know what? That spreads the word of the league in just a different way than advertising ever could. Once you can get into the communities, and showing the goodwill too. I mean, that was the great thing about having the teams in the cities, because they were doing that charitable work. They were there on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis, spending money in these cities, giving back to them even just more than in charity. But it does feel like there's there's going to be more of a focus in that in this off season. They have to if they want more people in these seats, because even what they did in Memphis, I thought that was going to help. It didn't do a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. 30 days straight to the lead up of the season didn't do a whole lot, but maybe a whole off season of getting people on the ground, having these events, doesn't need to be everybody meet at the bar. Have a camp, have a whatever you need to do, get on the radio, do those things. It feels like that might be coming.
I think that, look, even with, I think what is still concerned returns for some people in the Memphis market, it's still worth being there on the ground. Yeah. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, we cycle back from doing this show in the USFL era in season 2. They used to tout the hell out of being in markets, that they were in and down on the ground in their hub cities and doing things in the communities. That was a big sticking point. They were really proud of that under the old USFL regime. And I feel like that's really missed. I know we got, and a few of us online got kind of the clutching at pearls type of deal from some people. Oh, you're not in market. Who cares? You'll be fine. You don't need to be there. Like, that's just extra. No, it's not. It's really not, guys. Like, we've followed so many of these other leagues now. Like, if you're at this level, like, I know the league wants to be like this pro on TV thing meets like the smaller minor league boots on the ground stuff. Well, they're not doing this minor league stuff yet correctly. They got the TV side. Yes, you got the partners and all that, but you got to be there. Like, minor league sports and smaller league sports, they're always in their market doing something. So you can't just be in on social and then just kind of talking. Like, that's what was missed. That's what we were trying to say a little over a year and a half ago, was like, that's the part you're going to miss from not having the multi-hub set up. And it's showing, and it's also showing that in Michigan, that is a proof of concept that does work. They are doing great stuff over there and being in market. And Memphis, while the returns aren't there, they're still a losing team. And something we've learned a lot this season, and even more so over the last year and a half, TV times do matter. Like, the amount of people that I've heard complain about, man, I hate going to these day games, like in the late spring in Memphis, or like, in Birmingham, where it's like sun's beating down. And that's a hard thing to change, because you're already competing for time with so many other properties. I mean, like, we look at like I said, we look at Fox alone, IndyCar and such being a big deal. Baseball night in America on Saturdays is still 1 million plus to 2 million viewer game a week. They want that money for that big national property. And then you look at ABC, well, they got the finals and they got the NHL Stanley Cup finals. So it's competition. ABC's been actually making the most of their airings, so that's good. But like ESPN, they got to figure, there's a lot of stuff, you just got to find the best efforts, and I think you got to be there. So we'll see if they want to change that. And they are making those moves. I think that's good. And I think this will be a good segue to something else that I think does deserve some talking, that I feel is a cool thing they're doing. So, there are some cool stuff that I like the league is doing, in particular with, I think, some historical items. So I think they realize that, and I think have been realizing that, there's a lot of people that have followed these spring leagues, specifically since the XFL 01 days, in kind of what they do and how they're still kind of contributing to football, and people enjoy that era of like checking up and catching back on like the old stuff. And so what they did is they created a really great section of the shop that some people have already heard of, but we haven't seen many people talk about yet in the UFL vault. So if you go on UFL shop, there is the UFL vault section at the top. And basically, and I'll let you kind of lead in with this, Stefan, anything from 2001 to now that is on sale and is being collaboratively collected via collectible exchange, that is from 2001's XFL all the way to like today, that's like big ticket items, they're selling and kind of making a one-stop shop for like memorabilia fanatics. There's some really cool items on here, actually, that I didn't expect to see on here, not going to lie.
Yeah, no, they have some super neat things. I mean, they have helmets from some of the teams. Like they have the old Gamblers helmets. They have helmets from the, again, like you mentioned, Zach, 2001 XFL teams. They got jerseys. We were talking before the show. They got the ticket stub for the inaugural USFL game. So if you go, what was it, $50 or $80 or something, you can get that ticket stub. They got game cards, but they have all sorts of like just cool, neat things. It's funny too, because that's before the UFL vault. That's where I got my ref shirt from. Was what was the name of them? The
Collectible Exchange with
Collectible
an X
Exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had most of these listings online on like eBay prior, so they must have struck a deal with the league. And now it's up on the official site, which is actually pretty neat to see. And I don't know, Zach, I'm really holding myself back from not buying that Gambler's helmet, but it's like $400 or $500. I really shouldn't be spending that kind of money on it.
It is so tempting though, because I mean, I don't think we're ever going to see that brand return unless it's some far off distant future thing. Because, well, it's Roughnecks or bust at this point. But like, man, I still love that logo. That's one of my favorite sports logos is the G with the Texas inside. But like, I'll tell you, like some of the stuff I love from the 01 collectibles. So that's what I think is great. Is like they have a lot of the XFL 01 stuff, which I mean, give or take, some people love the 01 era. A lot of people in rose tinted or maybe memorabilia side. Others remember, of course, the craziness from McMahon's first attempt at trying to make this work. But like my favorite gear I've found so far, I used to love the Memphis Maniacs brand, by the way. I think the logo with the AX on the side helmet with the turquoise, it pops. I got two helmets from that era for $300 right now. I mean, they look so damn good. I would love to get the bike helmet and have it hanging up like on this back wall or something like that.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. Same with the Birmingham Thunderbolts one. I know some people love it. Some people hate it with the B on the front and the lightning kind of going to the side, plus some of the history of the change there at the end. But like, it's quirky. It's 2000s quirky. Like, if you're like into that stuff or like wanting to keep expressing your fan, like there's a lot of unique things. It's great they partnered up. Like, tons of things from all over the place. And again, you got like Dallas Renegades stuff from like the 2000s with specific jerseys. Some of them that I want. One of them, the Sea Dragons. They have one that I would want. Anthony Johnson from that time, who was really solid with the Sea Dragons in the 2020 season. I mean, it just keeps going on. They keep adding stuff also just as the year goes by, or like even UFL content. You can buy a Michigan Panthers 2025 season ball from the kickoff. So, which
is funny that it's actually so close to the price of the regular ball that they sell on the shop that you might as well, I think it's like a $50 difference. You might as well just get the game ball.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Like it is the standard ball, but you get the chip with the little Panthers logo on the bottom. So
yeah.
Two things that did stick out though. You talked about the ticket stub for the inaugural USFL game. The one that I really like, that I think is fascinating, they have the Birmingham Times newspaper edition of the USFL announcement. So the front cover is all USFL themed. It talks about their first year in the league. You get the promo jersey pictures in there and the helmet. That's a really cool piece of memorabilia if you're like a hardcore collector of this type of stuff. Because that is I don't know. It was just, it's historical for the fact that that's really what kicked off, I think, these real merger talks, is that the USFL came to the scene and then kind of started off what was this initial one season war and then kind of what we see today.
Yeah. 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 I don't think I saw that newspaper earlier. So yeah, they are definitely adding things to this. So check it out. Go to shop.theufl.com and then it's, you'll see right at the top, they have a link over for the vault, but there's all sorts of cool things in here. And again, if you like jerseys, what I think is funny, Zach, a lot of these jerseys, authentic game jerseys, they're the same price as the damn knockoff jerseys they have on their website. So, again, if you want a jersey, like I'm looking at the Thunderbolts jersey, $99.
Yeah.
They got Guardians jersey with no name or anything on it, $99.
Actually,
Vipers jersey, $130.
Actually, you know one I would get, and I'm surprised this one's a little less. I don't know why it is this case, but for $200, you can get a Chicago Enforcers bike helmet. And you know me, that if it's any Chicago memorabilia, I do got to look at it seriously. So
Yeah.
add that one onto my list of possibles. Between that and the Maniacs, man, that Maniacs logo is so good. I love the Axe logo. I really do.
See, these things, this is what makes us poor, Zach, is these silly little, you had to put that for sale, UFL. Come on, you're tempting us now.
Hard to say.
Anyway, season's winding down. We got 2 weeks left. Week 9 is ahead of us, Zach.
It is.
We got 4 games on the slate. It's a holiday weekend. I'm going to be honest. I think ratings might be a little bit tough, but we'll see. The lead in from the Indy 500, I think that's going to fare well. Seems like any games that are on ABC, they do pretty well.
Yep.
And I think we have an ABC game this week. Do we not? We have
do.
2 ABC
Yeah, we got 2
games.
ABC. So yeah, so this will be nice. So you got Friday Night Football, which does have that consistent like 650 to 600K viewership. You know, it's a St. Louis game, so you should have a little slight boost on that from the fan base. But yeah, 2 ABC games on Saturday. So you'll get back-to-backs, Arlington, Memphis, and then Michigan and Birmingham. And then, yeah, I think this could be a really good ratings week in the fact that DC Houston is the game that is leading out of the 500. So, you know, the Indy 500, and I'm actually going to look up Indy 500's ratings from 2024. You know, it's the biggest racing event of the year. Like that is in the world, like not just the U.S., also in the world as well. So yeah, last year, 13 million people watched the Indy 500 on NBC. Now, that could be the same on Fox. Fox did have a dip in their qualifying ratings just below 1 million compared to NBC's 1.1 million in 24. But I easily expect them to break 10 million for this 500. And if any fraction of that starts the game against DC Houston, those ratings will get a bump just from the average at the beginning being so high. So I think expect that. I also think expect a good game because Houston, they got nothing to lose. And I also don't know what DC's going to do with their roster. So you may just see a fun game there. Hopefully. I mean, I was expecting it last week and it didn't happen. So, you know, which is too bad. But
I'll lead in with this statement and then we'll get back to the games in order. But Houston for the rest of the season is here to set the standings right. I'll say that and then we'll get back to that.
I think
so. The first game of the week, we got the Battlehawks, we got the Brahmas with a home game, so that's nice for them. But you know what? They're out of playoff contention. The Battlehawks, they already got the home game, but there is bragging rights. You still do. You don't want the excuse that you only won the game because it was a home game when you didn't deserve the home game. So they're going to go in, and I think they're gonna mop the floor with the Brahmas. I'm not going to lie. I think they're going to mop them up a little bit. Now the Brahmas, what I want to see more of from them was kind of a little bit what we saw last week. Throw it all out there. Let's get those trick plays going, baby. Because when we looked at last week's, what was it, the Showboats and the Brahmas? Mm-hmm. What a fun game was that.
That was a fun Friday night game for the Toilet Bowl. And I will stand by that because Ducky tried to say it wasn't. Well, they ain't looking like it's going to be another Toilet Bowl. So that was the Toilet Bowl. So that was a fun game. Like I said, OT shootout, Brahmas come back from behind, you know. Made it worthwhile. Kellen Mond, by the way, our own James Larson announced, is starting this game. So he will return this week after some injury absence and whatnot. So expect him back. Should be interesting. You know, Kevin Hogan's also on standby. They could swap him and he's doing okay. So, yeah.
Wait a minute here, Zach. Is this game... this game's not really in San Antonio.
No. No.
Sneaky,
See what they did?
Buggers.
That's what's
you
funny.
Can't... Oh, my goodness.
They left the home designation on the website knowing damn well this is an away game.
That dawned on me. I was like, wait, how could they have this at home when that was the whole controversy?
So this creates a whole nother talk about like, are you serious? And fans trying to be like, are you kidding me right now? Because if I click buy tickets and I'm doing it, I'm going to the Ticketmaster like right now. It clearly shows St. Louis as the home designated icon and gives you a Dome of America center.
And reading. I got a bone to pick with the league, and I'm going to stand up for the Battlehawks fan, where I think a lot of people think would be shocked for me to do this. I think the season ticket holders should get this game.
They should.
I mean, the fact that they got to buy tickets to this game and potentially not even get their season ticket seat, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, they should, because here's the thing. The sales for this one, and it's Friday, and I know last time they did a Friday, it was lower, which fair, Fridays are a hard
and a holiday weekend.
And a holiday weekend. So, like, you have to deal with that. But, like, you have no season ticket holders getting this ticket. So the sales right now are looking very interesting at this point in our recording. And interesting by saying these are not normal ticket numbers sold right now. And I think this is another backfire by the league on, like, trying to make this, well, it's not really a home. So, like, we shouldn't give this to the season ticket holders. Like, what are you doing? And so the fact that they also sell it as a Brahmas game online, like, guys, just admit that you didn't have another game. It's okay. Like, we don't need to play this bait and switch on your website saying that San Antonio is going to have a home game. We know. You told us at the beginning of the year. You can gladly say it. It's okay. We get it. But that's going to affect them. So anyway, outside that fun little adventure that the sales department's going to have. Game. I'm glad you caught that. Game's going to be, Brahma's going to town again. This isn't the same energy as last year's matchup just because San Antonio's nowhere near the same anymore. I don't know how I feel about how close this will be though, because like the Battlehawks offense plays down to their opponent every week. Maybe this changes, but that defense does carry the load. It is the load bearer. It is the best defense in the league right now. But I mean, I got St. Louis winning. I just don't know how close this will be. Like, will the Brahmas be like, we can keep up with them a little bit? I'm not sure, but I gotta give the Battlehawks this. Simple as that. Yeah. I just want to see how good Max Dugan. Any progress for Max Dugan will be great in that offense. That's all I want, because they can run all over you, but come playoff time, I really do believe they need to have some sort of consistent passing game, and they just do not show that every week. So I take it there.
Yeah. So, we're both agreement to start out the week. Now, I'm curious where we both land on this next one. So starting out day 2, noon on ABC, we have the Renegades traveling to Memphis to take on the Showboats. I think this is going to be a little bit closer game. I think that there is still a little bit of this pride situation going on. You don't want to be the stinker team at the end of the season. And you know what? There's only 2 weeks left to get out of that hole. But you know what? You win those 2 games, and let's say Houston loses the next 2 games. On paper, it doesn't look that bad now, does it? No, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look as bad as it does right now. The Renegades, on the other hand, I mean, they're probably a little bit deflated. We could see them go into a little bit of trick play. What I'm curious to see is, do they bring in a Holton Ahlers to ride out the season, or maybe even part of the game, just to, like, is Luis going to return next year? If he's not, or if he's maybe debating it, this is some time to get some real gameplay under maybe potentially the guy that's going to take over the role next year. Yeah. Again, maybe not. We'll see. But only 2 weeks left in the season, and if you're not shooting for the playoffs, well, you might as well use this time while you have it, because once you go to the off season, these people are all going home.
I mean, here's the thing. We're talking about next year at this point. Like, I think there is some eval here, and as we have seen, majority of these guys do usually come back. So, like, you are going to get NFL guys, but you do want to evaluate, because a lot of these guys will re-sign, most likely, unless they are already thinking about retirement or they're kind of on the upper end. There's a good chance a lot of them come back. So you do want to have some look at that youth side of it. And I think guys that maybe you drafted too, that maybe you're wanting to see if they're the next generation of that talent or next step of that talent behind it. So funny you mentioned Stoops, by the way, in the Renegades. So another James Larson quote. I'll bring this up because I caught it before show. He asked today as we're recording, if Holton Ahlers or Luke Lennon, both backup QBs right now, Ahlers has been doing alternative, schemes for the team. Could they start? And he said maybe to that question. So I think everything's on the table because the Renegades are out. And I think that they also realize that, you can't keep leaning on Luis Perez. And I don't know, like Luis Perez every year coming back seems less and less likely. So I think you just got to be prepared for the inevitable. And Allers has been kind of waiting in the wings to take this over. Lennon was a pickup that they've been interested in, and I think wanted to get reps. So I think anything's on the table for that game. It'll be fascinating. And also to kind of bring in some extra stakes, because we talk about with Memphis. So Memphis did give them some space, and I'll let you talk with this, that the Showboats got a space in terms of being the number 2 pick in the draft this year. There is still a scenario if they lose and somehow San Antonio wins against St. Louis that they could end up being the number 1 draft pick again. So, I think there is, like you said, that bragging rights of saying, look, we didn't finish last again. We didn't finish that number 1 again. Last year was different because they won the Tank Bowl in week 10. You don't have that. So, I think they're like, that's the bragging right angle. And Memphis can evaluate whoever the heck they want. EJ Perry, Troy Williams, Dresser Wynn. I mean, they're going to be a Mod Podge of whoever the heck they want to throw out there. This will be a real big eval game, I got the sense of.
Yeah. It's funny. I had to go to our staff chat and Discord and see who I picked in this game. Because I'll tell you, Zach, I was actually about to go pick the Showboats. But you know what? I'm going to stand true to my original pick that I put earlier this week. And I'm going to go the Renegades on this,
Okay.
which, James Baker will be happy about that. But I'm curious, Zach, who are you picking in this one?
I've been really disappointed in Arlington. I've had a lot to say about Arlington in terms of me getting, jumping on the train and then kind of realizing while I'm on the train that, this is the same roster I'm used to, and I got off. So I still don't think this is a team that's going to, I don't think this is a bad enough team to lose to Memphis. Like, I know Memphis has a really solid defensive front, and all that. I just don't know if they fully have a vision on what they want offensively. And I think Dresser Wynn, if he starts still developing, Troy and EJ have been kind of all year. I mean, I don't think it's really an argument for either one right now. And I think that Arlington has enough in the tank to say we can get through this on the road. So give it the Renegades a win. Maybe I'll get burned again and I'll just stop picking them, but I see Arlington. Give me Arlington on this one. And then, follows up with, what should be a massive end of the year game, but now it's like, what is this game going to be now? Is Michigan and Birmingham? Because, sure, there's bragging rights. Michigan hasn't beat Birmingham in its history since returning, but what's the stake? There's no stake now.
Well, there's bragging rights. You want to be on top.
There is, but I'm very fascinated what you do with this game. I'll be quite frank. You're going to Birmingham either way. You could get the nod of winning the conference. If you win week 9, you technically are the winner outright. If you're Michigan, if you're Birmingham, you win this game. You get a half game by tiebreaker up going into week 10, and then it's whoever wins gets that nod there. But you're Bryce Perkins who sat out a week with an ankle issue. Do you really want to, if you're that worried, how are you treating this? Do you start him a half and then switch to Danny? Do you maybe activate Rocky Lombardi and then start the backups? This is where we asked Danny Etling this during the show last week, Stefan, and this is what I thought was interesting is we asked, hey, what are your thoughts on the end of the season now that, nothing, everything's set? And he's like, well, that's up to the coaches. I really don't know what the coaches are going to think with this because do you put risk in your starters? You have 2 weeks left. So how much do you play your starters knowing that you are trying to get the monkey off your back in the biggest game of the year in 2 weeks' time? Or really 3 weeks' time because they got a break between this year. But you know exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is a tough one. And I might even change my pick. I'm looking at my pick right now and I'm thinking, I don't know about all that. I just don't know. This is a tough game, Zachy boy, because a lot comes down to, even on both sides, psychologically, how much you're going to put on the field knowing that you're going to play in a couple weeks for something real, right? Home field advantage doesn't matter anymore. You're getting it either way or you're not getting it either way, right? So how much are you going to put on the field? And what we've seen in the past is generally whoever loses this game wins the next one.
Mm.
Generally, not with the Michigan Panthers and the Stallions, because as we know, that's just never come across. Now, my first instinct, I'll tell you, because something I've been meaning to say on the show for a while now, is I do feel like the Panthers are going to beat the Stallions this year. And so I was going to pick them here because I don't know if they're going to beat them in the playoffs. Now, on the other side of things, and maybe this is a good segue to talk about it, I think Houston's role in the rest of the season is really justice. They are the enforcers of justice, and they must make what needs to be right, right. Okay. And when they look at a problem, you know what they have? They don't have excuses. They have solutions. And so whether they can make it to the playoffs or not, they will take it into their hands and set the record straight. So we'll talk about the next game. But as you know, they're playing one of those teams that's in the hunt that could win the division, but not play at home. Well, Houston's going to set them straight this week. I'll just get that out of the way. And you know what? Because of that, I can't give the Panthers the win. I'm going to go with the Stallions. And I don't necessarily think anymore that the Panthers are going to beat the Stallions this year because I just don't think that anybody can beat the Stallions in the playoffs.
Man,
we'll see. But if Michigan's going to beat the Panthers, this is their best shot right here.
I am so torn. I did pick Michigan for this one, so I'll get that right out of the way. But I'll admit, immediately after picking that was like from talking about this whole situation with the playoff setup. It's like I'm so in the weeds because now it's like, how hard do you go against this opponent, knowing that you want to get healthier? Both these teams have been ravaged in many ways and injuries. So how hard do you go? Injuries happen every game, but how hard do you really go with like key starters? Like Birmingham's trying to figure out their QB by the end of the year because they have options. Jamar's been, he had his classic Jamar performance, really good yardage, but a little erratic at times. Alex Magoo's coming back. We don't know if he's going to be playing up to snuff after his week 1 performance really, I think, shocked a lot of people. And then, you still have Case Cookus who's sitting there, has been, a pretty reliable standby, but he hasn't been blowing people out of the water with his performances. So like, you got to evaluate that. You've got other injury issues on your defensive front with guys swapping in to worry about. I think and also I think you have to address some line issues on how to get protection because they've surprisingly been, I think, a little lackluster, not as bad as some other teams this year, but like, pressure's been getting the QBs in Birmingham a lot more than I've usually seen under the Skip Holtz era. So something to consider. They do got to figure out how to adjust for protection. For Michigan, I mean, do you play Bryce this week? Do you let him rest another week? I mean, Danny was pretty solid against the Roughnecks. Maybe give him some tape. Maybe get Rocky Lombardi some tape because you're considering next gen type of stuff. He was your draft pick this year. So that's what I'm really torn on. And I'll go with Michigan, because I think that Birmingham's going to have a lot more reservation and some swapping and trying to figure some things out. But I would not be shocked if Danny starts and that they announce that and they let Bryce rest one more week, maybe get him tuned up against the Roughnecks in week 10 to kind of get him out there, maybe for like a quarter or two, or maybe they play him for like a half and then they switch him out a half. Because I don't see him having a full game where both these teams just start with one consistent starter. I think this is going to be an eval game like the other one against Arlington. So be ready for that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Michigan, but it'll be a weird one because I think both these teams are kind of just like, bragging rights ? And we're trying to really focus on the bigger picture in a few weeks' time. So,
right.
Yeah, kind of hard for me to get completely pumped on this when I'm knowing that, sorry, there's just nothing to play for here. These teams don't want to kill themselves over it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that leads us to the last game of the weekend. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, we have the Defenders heading over to my home turf of Houston to take on the Roughnecks. And what's going to be a hot as hell game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to warn anybody that's going out there, it's going to be hot, and it's going to be hot as hell. But bring some water. They got some water out there as well. They got a Trill Burger in there, Zach, and I'll tell you this, what I should have,
Trill Burger.
I wish I knew. Because I got the chicken tenders from the Trill Burger at TDECU last time I was there, and they were amazing. Trill Burger, who is it? It's is it Bun B? It's one of the local Houston rappers that owns it.
And that rap scene is very local. Besides the big year stuff, because just this.
Bun
I'm
B.
just reiterating.
It is Bun B. Well, I'll tell you. So because I didn't know anything about Trill Burger. I heard of it, but again, any of these celebrity endorsed restaurants, I'm like, it's probably not that good. Like you like the Guy Fieri restaurants, dude, is like $18 for a taco. I'm like, there's no way that I didn't even get it because there's no way it's that good. Anyway, so I got the Trill Burger and I just got the chicken tendies there. Zach, I'm not joking around. It was like Raising Cane's, but they were huge.
Ooh.
They were good. And it came with 2 dipping sauces. One that was like a Raising Cane's, and then one was like a sweet, like Asian sauce. It was amazing. All right. And then, so since then, I've looked up their burgers. Now, and that's what I'm getting this weekend. I got to get the Trill Burger. The burger is what it's all about.
You got me sold.
I was skeptical because it's at a stadium, but I looked at I said, okay, all right. You sold me, Mr. B, Mr. Bun B. I got to get this Trill Burger.
By the way, I did look up your weather forecast again, and while you are enjoying that burger, the later portion of the game could be up for some severe thunderstorm weather.
Oh.
So,
I don't like that.
Just, I hate to bring it up, but I was curious about some of the other things with your game, since it sounds like it's going to just be its own thing of stuff. So,
well, you know what? At least with the rain means it won't be as hot. So let's see. Okay, I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. Hopefully we can get the game done, but hopefully there's maybe some cloud coverage or something going on as well. Needless to say, as I alluded to earlier, Houston's coming into this with nothing to lose, and they're here to defend justice and all that's right in the world of spring football. And when they see a problem, they're coming to the table with solutions. And that solution this week is destroy the defenders. And the solution next week, I hate to break it to you, Zachy boy, refs law the game. Part 2 is going a different way. Woo, baby, because we're setting it all straight.
You know what? I stood up for you in this past week. I gave you points because of refs law. But you know what? I'm going to stand up for Nick Thorne here. Nick Thorne has an even more consistent law. It's called Thorne's law. Thorne's law implies that any game he goes to, DC wins. He's 8-0. This law is bulletproof right now.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to find out where he lives and have somebody slash his tires, baby. Because wait, Nick Thorne ain't coming to this game.
No, he's not.
Yeah, your tires are safe, Nick Thorne. Refs law.
I'm just saying. At least if he's there, you're screwed. That's just it.
Well, he ain't going to be there, so I feel bad for his little defenders. They're going to be wishing. They're going to be wishing that justice wasn't against them.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think that, I don't know why I feel this, except for the fact that I believe that you're going to see DC at full strength for one more week. And I think it's because they're going to look at this and go, let's get our boy Jordan Ta'amu a definitive MVP lock-in. They're going to have one more game where he plays full, and then I think they play it soft in week 10 against St. Louis.
Can DC play a good game against a team with good defense, though?
I mean, they kind of have at times. The only game they've looked like slop is against my Panthers. That's it.
Well, just wait till this weekend. You see what my team does to them. A team with nothing on the line except for justice.
Tons of justice
is on our side. And and it's our last home game, baby. I'll tell you what, it might be hot, but they're going to come out there to win. They're going to come out there to win.
Justice is being served this Memorial Day weekend.
Come get a Trill Burger, get some chicken tendies, which, oh my God, speaking of chicken tendies, Zach, you know the store Five Below?
Yes.
They sell the most amazing chicken tendies shirt. Let me see if I can find this shirt.
Five Below with a chicken tendies shirt?
I don't know what. Facebook knows me too well. It gave me an ad for it the other day. And I said, my God, $5.55 for that shirt? I have to get it.
I have to ask then, were you looking up Five Below or just hear you?
No, I wasn't. No, I think it was more the chicken tendies that it was like, because I always call them chicken tendies because it's funny. And I'm going to put it in the Discord. I'm not going to put it. If anybody wants to see it, go just look up Chicken Tendies Five Below. But Zach, just so you could see it here real quick, I'm going to drop it in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
They have it in stock at the store near me. I might need this shirt for the summer stock road trip. How funny is that shirt?
I love this for many reasons. It's got like this like 80s vibe to it. It's like it's already fried chicken, but they added like a slight chicken fried filter onto this as well. It's all over the place. This is you show up to this, you're gonna walk home with a date real quick.
Dude, it reminds me of the 3 Wolf Moon shirt, with the moon, which I found one of those at a Goodwill, and I own one, Zach.
Oh my God.
Not like a legit one that somebody bought unironically back like in the 80s or 90s, and it's mine.
The ultimate weekend bumming shirt is the wolf howling at the moon. Any of those like paint on tees, they're glorious. That's kind of what that gives the vibe of a little bit. That's why I say like 80s. Just kind of feels
There's
like
like
that.
lightning coming off of the chicken tendies. it's amazing.
Oh man. Again, though, join our Discord. Link in the description, by the way. Goofball stuff like that's always going to be great. So don't worry. Oh, hey, one last thing, just random thing from previous shows. I got to check. Did the Michigan Panthers link for their season tickets get adjusted? Remember, it was the Brahmas link last time I checked.
Well, they got
social media says
they felt bad about those home games. They gave them some extra links.
So social media says they did fix it. So
good.
I did click the tiny URL link they sent. It is the Panthers link. So they did not screw that one up. Thank you.
Sign them up.
Thank you, social team. Appreciate you.
It's the stuff that we like to see. It's the stuff that we like to see. But you know what? I think that brings us about to the end of like the topics. We are getting close to a road trip, Zachy boy. Things are coming closer. I got just a show. I got mount for the camera.
Yes.
Secondary drone. So now we got 2 drones, but I tested it and it does like the fly in front of you thing. Amazing.
Awesome, dude.
I think we got most of the things that we need to get sorted other than getting there and getting back. And you know what? I'm looking forward to it. There was a couple things that it's a shame because now that I've been looking up Route 66, Google and all these algorithms just keep sending me stuff. And they're like, look at this thing in Texas on Route 66. And I'm like, oh, please. Nope. It's in like Amarillo. none of the Route 66 in Texas we're going to see. But there are plenty of things as we get into Oklahoma and then Missouri that, man, again, it's funny. I went to Uranus Fudge Factory last year. And at the time I said, I gotta soak it in. I'm never going to be here ever again in my life. And here I am a year later, and my wife was so mad at me for not getting her a shirt. And so now we're getting the shirt.
Redemption season is upon you. Absolutely is upon you. I honestly, that's one of my top ones. I'm like, besides stopping at the soda shop up that way, man, the Fudge Factory is one I was mad I missed out on my original trip to Arizona. So glad we're going to get in there, and you'll be like a mini tour guide in a way.
Yeah,
you've already been there,
and it is a little box of mysteries. It's a fun little place, and they open early. Remember we looked up and opened at like 8 o'clock. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. That's pretty amazing. But yeah, things are coming to light. So this is your reminder, guys. Summer stock, the road to the UFL championship. It's dropping late night, either Friday the 13th or midnight going into the 14th. But as soon as we can, we're going to drop it. And actually, I think we're going to be able to drop it sooner now that you're coming out a day earlier. That gives us time to like do some stuff earlier, get it edited. Oh, this is all coming together, Zachy boy. But this is why you need to subscribe. Click the bell. It builds morale. It lets you know when we go live, like Mondays with Around the UFL. It'll let you know when Summer Stock, the road to the UFL championship, drops. It'll also let you know when episodes just like this one go live. So make sure you do it. And it builds morale. It makes you feel better. But you know what else you can do? It's free. And I always say, if it's free, it's me. Like the video, click the like button, or dislike it. It's just the same. Make that algorithm's brain tickle. That's what this is the mission statement. If anybody wanted the brief, here's the brief. We want the algorithm to say, I like that. And here's how you can do it. We already went through a couple of them. Subscribe, click the bell. You get the morale as well. You like the video. It's free. It's me and it's you. Comment on the video. Do all those things. You know, another thing I never mentioned, the damn audio listeners. I know you exist. I see you.
And we appreciate you a ton, by the way, for
Well,
those that do listen to the
I'll
podcast.
appreciate them, Zach. Here's when I'll appreciate our audio listeners. I'll appreciate our dirty audio listeners when they go and review us positively. This one counts.
Oh, my God.
Not our dirty audio. I mean, our beautiful, our
dirty
big,
audio.
beautiful audio listeners. I would love for you to go and review us on your podcast platform of choice. And then I'll appreciate you even more. That's what I really meant to say. Social media, you know what the hell to do. At UFL Podcast, at Around the UFL, at UFL Newsroom, at PF Newsroom, all the things. Go and follow them at all the places. Facebook, TikTok, all the things. You know what I mean. Go and do it. You'll get all the updates.
I went over to our iTunes just because I was curious about recent ones we've gotten. One of the last ones we got, February 6th. Overall, not bad. But, and it's an entire critique of why we have Ducky on our PFN staff. It's like, thanks, pal.
Good times.
Feel free to drop your review, though. Again, usually iTunes allows us to do that, so you can just go ahead and do that if you want. But always love reading.
It'll make
stuff.
you feel good. You know what? You're going to wake up the next day. You're going to breathe a little bit better. You won't even need a cup of coffee the next morning if you write a review. That's a rough guarantee.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
There you go.
So I think we'll end it with that. So these are all the things you need to stay tuned for. We're heading to the end of the season. Soon we're going to be talking MVPs. Soon we're going to be talking playoffs. Soon we're going to be talking the championship. But until next time, sign you up.